Hi everyone, I'm Mims, and it's one of my favorite times of day. I have a cold can of seltzer, and I have a new tarot deck. And I wanted to talk about it and share it. I think a lot of you probably have seen it, but I wanted to talk about why I added it in, and I was super excited to do so. And I say that every single time, but it's true. But here we go. So, we'll open the seltzer first. And here we have, this is the Ferenc Pinter tarot. The way that I found, I forgot scissors, but I think we can open it. The way that I found this deck was the winter of 2025. I bought a magpie deck on eBay. And I made a video, and I've since deleted those, and I probably should quit referring to videos that are deleted. But anyway, I made that video, and one of the things about even getting the magpie deck was trying to find someone who was making a deck from legitimate decks rather than someone making decks from, you know, unauthorized copy decks of AliExpress and Temu and so forth. So one, I remember it being a challenge to find that. And then two, someone who was not only making legitimate ones, but making it that it could actually be usable in the sense of that all the cards were roughly the same size and so forth. And I found it. And one of the things that I did with it, I still use it. I think it's a fun one to learn with and also just to play with. But one of the things that I did, and it took a while, several hours, and the deck that I had, there weren't like, it wasn't 78 cards from 78 different decks. There were definitely probably 13 or 15 different decks in there, maybe even more. But I remember like using, like first I put them all in piles with similar backs, because then I knew like, okay, that's all one deck and so forth. And then I would sort of search for them. And luckily, before I even did that, I remember being enamored with with certain paintings from this one deck. And Shanna from Sincerely Shanna D was kind enough in the comments and said, oh, the cards that you seem to really love the artwork is the Ferenc Pinter deck. Again, I'm sure I need to work on name pronunciation, among a lot of things. So that was helpful because it helped me then to identify some other cards. But it's probably the first tarot deck that I fell in love with it completely from the artwork and completely without any sort of influence in the sense of, you know, like somebody else loving it on TarotTube or anything like that. It was really me flipping through that magpie deck and in those like 5 or 6 cards just absolutely loving it. So one of my favorite things, and I hope they continue to do this because I think it's really neat, Scarabeo puts out several decks that are art-based decks. Now you could argue that all tarot decks are art-based decks, and I would agree. But specifically, like, really, you know, highlighting an artist. And so Ferenc Pinter, from what I understand, I forget. I know he published a lot of things, and his deck, this is kind of that title card that's been in Scarabeo decks over the last few years. Let's see if it says anything about Ferenc Pinter. Let's see. Here we go. Orphaned at a young age, Pinter grew up in Budapest, Hungary, training and trained as an artist. Despite his obvious skill, he was denied entry into the Academy of Fine Arts because of his political ideals. In 1956, to escape the Hungarian Revolution, he made his way to Milan, the birthplace of tarot. In Italy, Pinter found work as an artist, gaining renown illustrating covers for books and magazines. And then he painted a beautiful series of 22 tarot triumphs for Lo Scarabeo. And that was called the Tarot of the Imagination. And then, for this deck, Lo Scarabeo has reproduced those masterful original colors and then paired them with 56 other beautiful artworks created by Ferenc Pinter during his life. So he was born in 1931 and he passed away in 2008. This may be, and pardon, you're gonna hear Jupiter the dog over there. From just like a gut level, this is absolutely my very favorite deck. But for whatever reason, maybe because there's lots of things on my wish list, it just took down like, okay, do you want the deck or not? And then, yeah, I did. And, you know, it's mass market too. And what I also love about this deck is that it is all artwork by the artist. Sometimes what they'll do, and I also get that as well, they will take a particular artist and they'll make a deck with it, and it will be existing artwork, and then sometimes it'll be done in the style of a particular artist. So anyway, this though I love because it is actually all of his own artwork. And I have been looking for, now that I know his name, like looking for an art book of his work, and I haven't found one. But I guess that's kind of what a tarot deck is. By the way, there's gonna be a lot of background noise. It was really quiet when I sat down, but now I feel like it's getting noisy. So I just thought we could flip through the cards in case this is a deck you haven't seen, or maybe you've just never seen a full flip through. And then I thought we could do a one card pull. So let's get into it. I know that was kind of a long introduction. I have seen that there is a how to draw book by him, and I think the copyright, I don't even know what the copyright is. It's out of print, but it's hardback, and I've seen it on a few online used bookstores. And I don't know, I love this work. And I did. I fell in love with it from a few cards that were in the Magpie deck that I purchased. And I love how it's a bit abstract, a bit funny, a bit dark. I love it. And I think it would also be kind of neat to see if I can find maybe some of those old, I think they're mostly Italian books, but seeing if I can find some of the, I love the moon, look at that moon. Ha 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 ha. I like the humor in this. I absolutely would hang this on the wall as prints. It's absolutely stunning. So again, the first 22 cards, the majors, were all, he did create those specifically for the tarot. This, I remember, was one of the cards that was in the Magpie deck. And this has to be not just one of my all-time favorite Five of Cups, but one of my all-time favorite tarot cards ever. I would like that as a print. It's stunning. I don't know. I've heard, and I've mentioned this before, I think other people have talked about this, and there's someone on tarot on Instagram that I follow, and I don't remember, I wish I could remember who it is, but I don't think it's their original thought, but I remember it catching my eye, and they said something along the lines, it's in their tagline, you know, like in their bio of their Instagram page, and they said something like, I collect art 78 cards at a time, or a deck at a time. And I just love this work. There's a few artists that I love, but for one, I didn't know I was gonna get, so, but I don't know. It's, like, I get what people talk about, certain things just, like, getting into your bones. This is more not just in my bones. This is, like, in my soul. It's beautiful. And I'm in love with it. I've always said I feel lucky to get to have more than one tarot deck, but finding art that just gets you, or that you don't have to understand it, but I've never reacted this way. And I'm not even having, like, I'm not having a bad day. This is like tears of just sheer awe. Like, look at that Two of Pentacles. I don't know what to say. Beyond that, it's absolutely beautiful. And I don't think that art always has to be beautiful. Sometimes it is. But sometimes art, you know, it's getting me at my core. I dated an artist for a while, and I was friends with a couple of artists, and it was like, and like hung out with them all at once. You know, this was like at a particular point, not that long ago actually. And I remember the person that I was dating, I remember him being a bit snobby about some of the art that I have on my wall. And he said, oh, well, that's just illustration. And I remember having to look that up because I didn't really know what that meant. And I kind of understand now that, like, illustration sometimes isn't looked down upon compared to, say, fine art. This looks like it could be like a church, an airport, a long snowy, I don't know, oh, it's a train station, isn't it? I love how it's a bit abstract and yet not. Anyway, this person that I dated, you know, and for one, I was like, well, I don't care. We weren't sharing a home. Like, I don't care what you think. This is my house, my place. One of the things that I have done over the years has been to, in small pockets of money, like, it was even before I was into tarot, but I decided, like, I don't want hotel or motel art. And I guess what I meant by that is, like, I don't want mass-produced stuff that there's not, like, a voice to. I'm gonna take my small amount of money, and I think for the longest time, you know, the way that art collecting is depicted in books and movies and things is that it's only something that the rich can do. And I realize now that that's absolutely not the case. And maybe one of the reasons why so many of us love tarot art, because we can collect it and have it in all of these and immerse ourselves in it. And, you know, whether you get a rare deck, an indie deck, you know, a mass market deck, there is beautiful, stunning artwork out there. You know, art that speaks to you, that helps you to identify, you know, the meanings, or that you read intuitively and you just know, like, this card means this in this deck. And maybe it even changes a bit for you depending on the deck that you're working with. Like, I love how we have this, and then we have this. Like, you know, this might be, yeah, I love the sense of humor, just all of the above. But anyway, I feel lucky to, and I'm only now starting to learn more about art, but it does make me realize, like, whatever it speaks to here is all you need to know. Like, you don't have to take a class or understand the difference between illustration and fine art. You know, whatever you like is what you like. And I definitely I completely pick tarot decks based on art. Now, I don't actually have very many what you'd call, like, artist-based decks, fine art decks, for lack of a better phrase. But art definitely is, like, the deciding factor in a deck that I choose. And, oh, look at this Ten of Swords. Ah. I remember, I'm pretty sure this card was in my Magpie deck. Pardon the plane. And then look at this. And I think what I love about this deck in particular, and maybe that's how some of the other artist decks are as well, is you very well can tell that this art is by the same artist, but they're not necessarily I don't even know what to say. Like, despite them not, like, I don't think this was drawn as a king of, it might have been, some of these might have been, maybe there were some others. I know it's all his existing artwork, and then the 22 majors it said was his, but there's, I don't know, this art is definitely my favorite art, just based on what it's bringing up in me. And I just, like, look at those colors. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is my favorite tarot card of all tarot cards. Like, I really would like to find that as a painting. But for now, I'm very thrilled, grateful, honored that I get to have this in my collection. And I had not seen a full flip through. I only knew the 7 or 8 cards that were in that magpie deck. So how lucky am I that it happened to be those spoke so much to me, and thanks to Shan. I think I would have eventually figured it out, because, you know, a lot of the time what I would do would, like, I would Google the backs, and I would say, like, blue wavy lines with, you know, looks like water with Carpe Diem, Ferenc Pinter. And I remember thinking, like, surely that's a name, but I couldn't read it. And so thanks to Shanna, that one helped me out right away when I was identifying all the cards in that magpie deck. But I am in love. So let's do a 1-card pull. What message do you have for us today? What do we need to know today? It feels good. It's I didn't talk about this before, but just in case, these are standard tarot card size. It's I don't have that many Los Scarabeo decks, and I have some of their older ones, so I don't, you know, I'm not always sure, like, what's current. But they're, you know, it's a strong, I think it's got a core in it, and it, you know, it definitely feels sturdy. It's got a shiny finish, but it's not glossy. But it does feel good and sturdy. And so let's go back to, what message do you have for us today? What do we need to know today? Ooh, 3 just jumped out, but we're putting them back in. I just want to shuffle it. What message do you have for us today? Ace of Wands. I really like that one. I like them all. Ace of Wands. You probably know this about Los Scarabeo decks, but, you know, I like to, and I've said this before, I like to assume that you don't know anything about tarot. You know, maybe it's your first video, somehow you stumbled upon it. Maybe you were looking up this deck. So Los Scarabeo is a publishing house in Italy, and if you buy their decks in the United States, they're imported through Llewellyn, which is a major tarot publishing house in the United States. And so they're so Los Scarabeo decks in particular tend to have, and I think there's a variety of them, but when they have a small guidebook like this, they often have multiple languages. So it's a small guidebook, and the total is like 128 pages, and you have English, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and is that Russian? I'm not positive. So this deck was published in 2021. But let's look up, I think that is right. I'm not sure. Anyway, for sure English, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. And so there's a little bit, like I said, there's a little bio about Ferenc Pinter. You have interpreting the art, you have the major arcana, you have the minor arcana, and a little bit about each suit. And then you have kind of a general description of the court cards. And then each of there's usually kind of a general description. But what I love is, in this particular one, it mentions, because they don't, not all decks do. I love when a deck will also describe like why the art is that way. So like if it's the artist making the deck, they might describe like what's in the scene. So even though it's written by someone else, this shows the description of what's in the cards. And then it also, I just noticed this, like for instance, as in the High Priestess, it says, note the figure rising from her book. Or for the Fool, note the oil pump in the distance. So that's cool. So anyway, oh yeah, back to Ace of. So even though there's not a ton, there's, I would say, a lot of info here. Because you are getting a little bit more about the card and the meaning and like something to notice, which I love that. Okay, Ace of Wands. And I'll hold the card up. Description: a large tree grows tall and proud on a high hill while a young man stands before it. Essence: each of the aces carries the primal elemental energy of its suit. The Ace of Wands contains an abundance of vital power, coiled like a spring and ready to be released. In a reading, boldness and courage propel you forward into a future full of bright possibilities. There is an opportunity for you to pursue that which you are truly passionate about. A fire burns within and must be fed for its light and heat to grow. Take the risk and open the door that fate has set before you. To follow this path may mean a need to set aside the cares of others so that you can focus your will and attention on your desires. Don't look back. Note the difference in scale of the tree and the man. That's a lovely guidebook. And it goes to show how it doesn't always have to be a huge amount for it to be potent and helps you to see things. I am in awe of this deck. I am looking forward to these new beginnings. Taking that step, taking that leap, going forward, even if it looks like it's going to be a huge climb. Like, go for it. Anyway, thanks for being here for this emotional flip through of the stunning, and I say this every time, but this is absolutely a favorite deck. Like, I might get a second copy so I can just have one with me all the time. And I've never done that. I've definitely gotten other copies of, like multiple color versions of the Rider-Waite-Smith. But other than that, I've never gotten a second copy of a deck. But this one, I think I might, just so that I can have one with me and then one in my bag. I don't know. I'm in love. Anyway, thanks for being here. What do you think of that artwork? Is there another artist's work that you just love, tarot or not? tarot artist, or maybe someone that you would love to make a deck out of their art, if you could. I would love to hear. Thanks for being here. I hope you're well. I hope you're appreciating the decks that you have, or deck that you have. I hope that you are finding joy, finding ways to take care of yourself and others and the earth in a mutual aid sense. And I hope to see you in another video. Take care.